Forget about it.
Forget about it. Bada bing, bada boom.
All right.
All right, here we go. Numbers 20 to 11. Hey folks, welcome back to The Flip Side. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And this is the continuing saga of our top 100 games of all time, the 2024 edition. We're getting some good games in here now, folks.
Some.
Yeah.
Yep.
Matter of fact, all of them are good. Even the ones I don't agree with that are on his list. They're all so good. Remember how I was talking about how I have a whole bunch of new stuff on my list?
Uh-huh. Did you put all the new stuff in your top 20?
No. All right. Well, tried and true. Never know what you're going to get.
What the heck's going on?
Number 20. My number 20, I believe, is a crossover. I think it has already been said by you on your list. Although we've been recording so many lists lately, I don't know if I'm remembering correctly. This one is called Dune, War for Arrakis. And this is my Dune game of choice. There we go. Let me put it that way. I've played Uprising. It's fun. But this one, component, toy factor is off the charts.
Toy factor's off the charts.
And that's why I super enjoy this game. But on top of that, it did take a game that I did enjoy, except for a couple of stupid things that I thought were stupid about the game, and made it much more enjoyable. War for the Ring was the successor for this game, and they simply rethemed it, changed a couple of the things. I like the fact that the good guys can actually open fire whenever they want to. I like that. They couldn't do that with War of the Ring. You had to wait for the bad guys to attack you first. Never understood that. I know it was thematic, but I still don't understand it. Just the way it worked. I really do enjoy this game. The playing as the Atreides is super different than playing as the Harkonnen. I like that duality that's within the game. The different things that you're trying to accomplish as each side, all of the different characters for each side that you can, or rather that have been incorporated into the game, is a great thing as well. I just really enjoy this game a lot. And that is number 20, new to the list, Dune, War for Arrakis.
Didn't make my top 100, but
We've been talking about it on another list.
I agree with everything you said there. I think the one downfall of this game, not downfall, that's the wrong way to put it, but the one thing about this game is the rule book is not very good. It's just not very good, which kind of sucks.
It's all over the place.
Yep, it's all over the place.
Try to find a rule for it, and you're like, can't find it. It's because it was back here on page 26.
Yep. Other than that, it's a great game. Once you don't have to read the rule book anymore, you're good to go. All right, my number 20 has plummeted from 8th last year.
Well, he hates it now.
Yeah, and honestly, I love this game so much, but it's extremely hard to get to the table with my game groups, with the people that I play with. But I don't know why, but this is Gaia Project. Gaia Project is about as heavy as they come.
Yes.
About as thinky as they come.
Yes.
It is a bear to set up. It's a lot of things. It's a great game. It's hard to table. So that makes it kind of tough for me. But in Gaia Project, you get a race of creatures, a faction, whatever you want to call it. Which in your player board is awesome. It has all these little buildings on it. Your job is to go out, find new planets, terraform them, and put your buildings on them. Start to create your own area in space, and everybody else is trying to do the same thing. They're trying to terraform planets. Eventually, in this game, you will create federations, which are groups of your planets that are connected together. But every time you put a building out from your board out there on the board, it increases some kind of income. But when you go to the next level of buildings, you put that next level of building out there, you bring that smaller one back and you put it on. So you're gaining something, but you're losing that income that you needed. So this is a very, very tight game. Every resource counts tremendously. There's a very cool balance with using your power. You have this power that goes from charged and ready to go to dead and it needs to be charged back up. All of these kind of things. Gaia Project is a fantastic game in its mechanics and everything else. It is just kind of hard to get to the table. So
what was the game that preceded it? I can't remember.
The first one?
Yeah.
Terra Mystica.
Terra Mystica, that's right. And that was like the fantasy version.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gaia Project added some things. It added these tech tracks, which you get better abilities by going up these tech tracks, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
And then actually Age of Innovation has since come after Gaia Project. I have it on my shelf, and just as hard as this is to get to the table, I haven't played it yet. I've had it for almost a year now. I haven't played it.
Wow.
So, yep. But anyways, that's my number 20, Gaia Project. I love this game. It deserves to be there.
Yep. All right, my number 19 is another newcomer to the list. This one has Vincent Dutrait's artwork in it, and I really like tile placement games. I like games where you're kind of creating your own little biodome, and this one happens under the sea. It's called Aqua, Biodiversity
this
in
high.
the Oceans. Yes,
Holy
I really enjoy this
macanoli.
game. I really enjoy this game, and I love how colorful it is, and I love the mechanisms that are involved because unlike it's very Cascadia-esque in that you're trying to build out your own biodomes and you're trying to, or biomes rather, and you're trying to populate them with different species of land animals. Well, in Aqua, you're doing basically the same thing, but the way you're doing it is quite dissimilar in that the shapes that you're using are hexagonal shapes, but the printing on them, you have to make cubes out of those colors, and that can really mess with your brain a little bit, but in a good way, because it makes you kind of rethink what you're doing. Once you get those cubes and a certain color on there, you get to place one of those animals on that thing. Once you get different diverse patterns of those animals, you can choose to do an apex predator on top of that diverse group of smaller animals. And then at the end of the game, you're going to basically score top down. And that means you're going to score your apex predators, remove them, then you're going to score all of your small animals and score the reefs and all that kind of. There's so much cool stuff going on with this game. There's also a lot of diversity within the different tiles that you can use and the different combinations that come out with those different tiles that you use as far as how you score them. Really a great game in my opinion, and it looks amazingly well on the table. It's Aqua, Biodiversity in the Oceans.
Has a very simple drafting mechanism.
Yeah.
Like I said, very much like Cascadia or Acropolis. That the blend of all of the colors on the board and playing it with new people is the one thing that I think puts this one down just a little bit below the other two. This is a great game, and the way you stack your predators and stuff is really cool. But the other two are easier to teach and a little bit cleaner to see sometimes. So, but that's a great game.
Yep, very cool.
Right on. My number 19. We're on 19, huh? My number 19 was number 18 last year. Don't kill me because it slipped, because I know how popular this game is. This is my Dune game of choice, and this is Dune Imperium. And I'll put the Uprising on there, because Uprising is better than Dune Imperium, although I'm still angry that they didn't mix together very well, or at all.
Yeah.
But regardless, I cannibalized my entire Dune Imperium box, because I had all the special box, all of the collector's edition stuff and everything else, and I put Dune Imperium in it, or Uprising in it. I still have the Imperium cards off to the side because I don't know what to do with them. I can't throw them away, so who knows. But anyways, my number 19 is Dune Imperium Uprising. In this game, it's a worker placement game. Your worker placement is tied to a card that you play down. The card that you play down is going to have abilities, but it's also going to tell you which different spots you can play on the board, whether you're influencing one of the guilds or whether you're going to Arrakis to get spice or whatever you're doing. There are several expansions for this. Uprising adds in these kind of spies that can block cards for you, so that you can go and get them later, type of thing. So there's a couple of the cool things that Uprising did. It also did some balancing in some of the resources.
Yeah.
But then, as in Dune, you're going to be adding troops to a combat every round. At the end of every round, there's going to be a combat, and there's going to be, several rewards for if you win the combat. Sure. The trick about the combat is everything you put into the combat is lost at the end of the combat, whether you put in 10 cubes or 1 cube, cubes being troops.
Yep.
So there's really a balancing act on how much you want to spend. There's just a lot of cool decisions in this game. Get all the upgraded components. It looks beautiful. So,
yeah.
But that's my number 19, Dune Imperium Uprising.
It's a good game. It's a good game. I thought this would have been on my list last year, but apparently it wasn't.
What is it?
It's called Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game. I could have swore this was on my list last year.
No, actually, I think I thought you were crazy last year. I'm like, where is this game?
Oh, well, maybe it was on my 101 to 120.
It might have been sitting there somewhere, because I think I remember bringing up, like, what the heck happened, dude? But no, it's fair.
Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game is probably, let me just double check, I want to make sure. Well, except for one other game, we'll talk about that in a little bit. This is my zombie game of choice. There is the OG Last Night on Earth. That is definitely one that's going to stay on my shelf just because of its OG factor. But Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game, is everything that I think of whenever I think of the zombie genre. It is survivors trying to hold themselves up in a colony, fighting off the dead so that the dead don't get into the colony, having to go out on supply runs, and while you're out on supply runs, you run into other people that change the storyline just a little bit. That's everything that is Dead of Winter.
I love this game.
Now, the base game is really where I'm talking about. There are other expansions that add things into, I think one of them is Warring Colonies, where you actually can fight against other colonies, a whole other group. And I get it. That's fun. But I think for me, the base game is really where it's at. So that's my number 18. New to the list this year for one reason or another, Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game.
The second version of that, what was it called? A Long Night or something like that? It was exactly the same as the base game, just with different characters and different. I mean, it was basically the base game again.
Yes.
I've almost bought that and cannibalized it a few different times, but I haven't done it because it's not different enough. So one or the other is totally fine. They're exactly the same game. This is our 14th confirmed crossover. We're getting there.
I'm going to have him keep track of all of the...
I did. I actually made a list so I wouldn't lose out this time.
See, when I try to say stuff is a crossover, we get screwed up like
confused. No, you just said it might be. My number 18 was my number 13 last year, so it has slipped a little bit.
Sad.
And there are so many solid, powerful games coming in. I wonder. Well, anyways,
That's exactly true.
It's very true. But this was my number 13 last year, and this is Aeon's End, specifically Legacy of Graveholt. Oof. This is another one where there's a whole bunch of different Aeon's End content. Legacy of Graveholt, for me, being the pinnacle. In fact, I have enough Aeon's End stuff now that new Aeon's End stuff after Legacy of Graveholt, I'm just saying no. I have enough. I have a pile of mages that's this tall. I'm not even joking. So... but Aeon's End is a great game. You each take on a mage. Gravehold, whether it's a legacy or not, is your city. It's being attacked by monsters that are coming out of rifts all over the place, and the mages it's your job to protect Gravehold, which, if you follow the lore of Gravehold, it gets destroyed several times, so you didn't do a very good job. But these creatures, the enemies that come in this, are more unique than, they are so different creature to creature to creature. It is unbelievable how different they play. Like, the enemies in this game are some of the best enemies that I've ever played in any card game. In Marvel Champions, they're fairly different, and they're thematic. In this, they are completely different and really do some cool things. Cool. So, And in this game, you're a mage. You have 1 to 4 breaches that you can cast spells through to do damage to the enemy and their minions. And you're trying to upgrade those breaches. You also can get energy towards your special ability, basically, and fire it off every once in a while. But there's a central card market where you can get more gems, which gets you more buying power, or you can get more spells that do damage, or all of the spells do damage in some way or another, but a lot of them have special abilities with them. Or you can get these relics. They're not called relics, but you get these items that give you special abilities as well when you play them.
Yeah.
And just to mention, obviously, when you play in Aeon's End, anything you discard goes on your discard pile. You never shuffle your deck. You just flip it back over and you keep on going. But this is a great game. The mages are very cool. Their abilities are very cool. My favorite thing about them is all the different bad guys, because they're amazing.
That's cool. My number 17 was 4 last year. And I think the reason I had it so highly ranked last year was because I was so enamored with it last year. I really enjoyed it. It kind of took King of Tokyo's place because there's a lot of similarity there.
Gotcha.
But this one is Marvel Dice Throne.
Another crossover.
Such a good game. Love how this works. And the reason I think it takes the place of King of Tokyo so high on my list is because it takes that variable player power that was kind of missing. Even with the decks that you were able to get in the expansion of King of Tokyo, it just didn't carry with it the same feel as Marvel Dice Throne does. Your dice are different. All of your abilities are different. Everything is different between one character and the next. And I'm a huge Marvel fan as well, so that's really where most of my experience with Dice Throne lives. I do have a couple of the small 2-character boxes from I think the Reloaded Dice Throne. But I just really enjoy this game a lot. It is so fun. It's Yahtzee style rolling where you're rolling your dice, and then you get 2 re-rolls to try to get combinations of different dice faces that will allow you to fire off these different abilities that your character has. And you're basically just trying to knock the other person down to 0 health before they do the same thing to you. In addition to that, you also have a hand of cards that you can play that will take command points to use. And you can generate command points during your turn, but you're going to be using command points to play these cards out of your hand that will allow you to do, basically it's manipulating the dice. And other things as well, but there's a lot of them that help you manipulate the dice or add dice to it or change this die face to something else, that kind of stuff. Really a fun game. Love it a lot. My number 17, Marvel Dice Throne.
I knew that was coming up on your list. I'll go as far to say that if I'm playing 2 players, I'm playing Marvel Dice Throne. If I'm playing 3 players, and those people like cooperative, I'm going to play King of Tokyo, the cooperative one.
King of Monster Island.
King of Monster Island for 3 players, and if I'm playing 4 or more players, I'm playing King of Tokyo.
That's probably a great.
You're just King of the Hill.
That's a great ladder. To follow.
It's a great game. It's a fantastic game. It's one that will never leave the collection. So, all right, my number 17. Wait, did that one fall or rise?
It fell from 4.
Woo! All right, that was kind of crazy. I can't wait to see the next 16 then.
Well, they're all great to me. I don't know what you're going to say.
Well, okay, fair. My number 17 fell from number 7 last year. Yeah, I don't know exactly why. I think there's some playability. Mel doesn't like to play this one very much sometimes, and so. But regardless, this is from Roxley Games, and this is Brass Birmingham. I really love the mechanics in Brass Birmingham. There's kind of a crazy thing in here because you're making coal mines and iron mines and stuff like that. And in most games, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm making a coal mine so that I can use that coal. But in this one, you might not be. You might be making a coal mine hoping that everybody else uses that coal up so that you can start getting income at the end of every round. But in this game, it's very tight. You get to start with a certain amount of money. Everything costs you money or materials. Your end result is you're trying to make manufactured goods and pottery and things like that. But to get to that point, you have to make coal mines. You have to make iron mines. You have to start populating either canals. You have to start like making canal connections or railway connections, depending on which area you're playing in, which cost you as well. Because if you want to sell to this market over here, you've got to have a railway connection all the way to that market.
Yeah.
Not only do you have to have a railway connection there, but you have to also have beer included, I guess, because every deal you do in Bath Birmingham is done over a beer at the local saloon, I guess. But it's true.
Sounds valid.
But the beer can come from anywhere. The iron can come from anywhere, but the coal, anytime you spend coal, it has to come from a connected, you have to be able to follow a path back to the coal that you're using. There's a market there that if you don't have coal on somebody's board, you can buy it from the market at an increasing cost, just like in Power Grid. And if you build something, if you build a coal mine that's connected to the markets, your coal will automatically be sent to refill the markets, and you'll get paid for it.
That's cool.
So there's all kinds of crazy things going on in this. On your turn, you have 2 cards. You're going to play 2, or you have a hand of cards, but you're going to play 2 cards down on your turn, and then it's going to go to the next person. This is the only game that I know of where you can take out a loan, and taking out a loan is really good. It gets you to $30, 30 whatever you want to call it. But your income, your round income, is reduced forever.
Huh?
So yeah, forever. So anytime you take out a loan, your income for a round is reduced
It sounds
down
a little bit too
couple
much
of
like
steps.
life.
So it's very interesting. It's one of the most beautiful board games. I absolutely love the graphics on this game. So, anyways, that's my number 17. I'll quit gushing over it. Brass Birmingham.
Martin Wallace. Number 16 is a newcomer to the list.
Surprise!
Not a surprise. I told you it was coming. This is a brand new game, though. Also a rondel game, where the board is a huge rondel. But you're basically leading your little village of Celtic people to fend off the Roman invasion or what have you. The Roman insurgents, I guess, that are in your land. You're trying to battle them away. This one's called Keltay.
I love this game.
This is such a good game.
I love this game.
Good game. I love this game. Now, I will say this. The first thing that turned me on about this game was the stark, beautiful box cover. They purposefully left the name of the game off the box, the top of the box, because of that fire-maned Celtic woman that they decided to put on the front. It's such a stark, brilliant cover. The game itself, it's got a pretty cool looking board, but all of the pieces are basically just wooden discs, which is fine. The component quality is actually not that bad. It's got double layered player boards that you can put your stuff into and keeps it from sliding around and all that kind of stuff. Really nice components, but the look was just like, the difference between the box cover and the game was significant. But gameplay is where the hook really sat, because it was such a fun puzzle to figure out. You're trying to get trying to get what are they called? Sears, the gray discs. I can't remember.
It's been a while. I haven't played this for a few months.
Can't remember what they're called. You're trading some of your clan members in to get these guys, and they actually act as wilds. How much you can do with these different actions depend upon how many farmers you have, or how many soldiers you have, or this and that. You're also setting in part what is going to score at the end of the game, and that's another cool thing about the game, is that there are a number of different end-game scorings that are out there, but the players choose which ones are actually going to score throughout the course of the game. And that's a really fun thing as well. I just really enjoy this game a lot. It's so fun. My number 16, Keltay.
I've only played it twice.
Yeah.
And one solo and one with Mel, and both times it just sang.
Super fun.
It just sang. This is I ain't gonna play this game more, and it's gonna come onto my list. I know it landed like at 105 or something.
Sure.
But yeah, that's a great game.
Yep.
So I'm gonna give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on whether it's better than Marvel Dice Throne or not. And this one gets a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
This
There you go.
This one belongs there.
All right.
All right.
All right.
My number 16 was my 15 last year, so it really hasn't done anything except for stayed awesome. And this is a Vladimir Suki game from Delicious Games, and it's called Underwater Cities. The first thing I'll say about Underwater Cities is go get New Discoveries, which is the expansion. It just adds more stuff, which is fantastic, but it also adds double-layered player boards for your little underwater city and your tunnels and everything to fit on, so it's really cool. But in Underwater Cities, that's what you're doing. You're creating new underwater domes, you're creating tunnels between them, and you're starting to build out this giant underwater city with domes.
Yeah.
In those different locations, you can build buildings. Some of them can hold one building, some of them can hold multiple buildings. But you're creating labs, you're creating farms, and you're creating desalinization plants. Because you're underwater, you got to get the salt out of everything, right?
Yeah, it's salt. Everything's salty.
But you're collecting plasteel and algae and whatever else. You're collecting different resources. The hook of this game in building that underwater city is you have a handful of cards, and those cards have 3 different colors on them: green, orange, and red, or green, yellow, red. I can't think, whatever, depending on how you want to call that color. And on your turn, you're going to play down a card, and there's 15 spots on the board. 5 are green, 5 are orange, and 5 are red. And you can play down that card on any of those spots as long as it hasn't already been taken. But if you play it on the same color that if I play a green on a green, then I get to take another action as well, the spots action as well as the cards action. So it's very cool. It's very thinky. And it's one of those things where the entire round goes, right? Everybody's going to play 3 cards in the round, so spots are going to be blocked. You only have so much you can do. You're playing a card down, and you're picking up another card in your small hand. So it's very thinky. It's very tight. Resources in this game are extremely tight, especially in the beginning. But I really love Underwater Cities. This is a great game.
Cool beans, Vladimir Suki. Another newcomer to the list.
Damn. All right.
And
thumbs up or down?
This one has component quality that is off the chart, especially
Off the chart, especially for how complex the game isn't. Oh.
This is called Foundations of Rome. You can pick up Foundations of Metropolis now, which is basically a more retail version of the same game. You're really playing the same game with Foundations of Metropolis, but Foundations of Rome has all of these beautifully produced 3-dimensional miniature model buildings, and the table aesthetic value of this game as it's being played is it literally is a attention magnet whenever it gets put out on the table. Such a beautiful game. I have mocked people at conventions checking this out of libraries and having to carry it down the thing. Literally, I've seen some people carrying one on each end of the box. That's how big this box is. But all mocking aside, such a great game, such a fun game, such a beautiful game. That is why it has rocketed to the top of my list. Number 15, Foundations of Rome.
All right, this is a thumbs up as well. We're going to do that for the whole list, but this is our 16th crossover.
Super.
All
Told
right.
you we were going to hit 17.
We're going to hit it.
We're not going to hit it.
We are. Well, we better. I'm so close. Like I said, if I go over, I can delete 2 of the spiritual ones.
There you go. You can
All
delete,
right.
yeah.
My number 15 was my 12 last year.
Ooh.
I don't even want to say who makes this game because it's... Never mind. This is a Garfield game. This is called Circadian's First Light. I really love this game. Circadian's First Light is a dice placement game. The dice are your workers. You're either going to place those dice, and the number of dice you have to start is, I don't remember what it is, 6 or 7 now, I can't think of it. But throughout the game, you're going to spend them. You're going to drop them off in the depository, or if they ever go see the alien factions here, they stay there, so you lose them. So you got to continue to go to the academy to get more dice. So getting more dice into so you can continue to use them is a big deal. But you're either going to play them out. So at the beginning of the turn, you're going to play out dice either on your farms, or you're going to play them out in your little spaceports. If they're in the spaceports, then it's based on the number, and whoever else plays theirs out on the spaceports to who gets to go out and play on the board.
Yeah.
Of course, any dice that you save for your farms are going to generate resources for you, but they're not going to go out and do other things around the base. You can upgrade your spaceports. You can upgrade your farms. You move around this planet. You have a harvester that moves around the planet that, depending on where the harvester sets, there's an income that you're going to get, whether it be in water or what is it, algae? I don't remember what the other ones are. There's water and there's crystals and there's something else I can't think of right now. But there's objective cards that you have to complete. There's all these cool things that you have to do. But I just really love Circadian's First Light. I love dice placement anyways, and this one is mechanically one of the cream of the crops for dice placement for me. So
I need to play it. I need to get over my aesthetic.
Yeah, just forget about the
upheaval
aesthetic.
Of the game.
It's really cool, really cool.
But I need to try it. I like drafting games a lot. Card drafting games.
Is it new to the list?
This is new to the list.
Sweet.
New to the list. I love drafting games, and this game has no less than 4 different ways to draft in it. So it's really kind of the top shelf as far as drafting games are concerned. On top of that, it's got a really neat use of a theme that I really enjoy as well, and that's called comic books. This is called Comic Hunter.
I was not sure this was going to hit your list.
Yes, it is. I bought it, and there's a reason I buy games. It's not always because it's Vincent Dutrait's artwork. Sometimes it's because it's a good game too. But that's exactly what this is. I love the idea because I used to collect comics. We talked about it earlier, where I used to collect X-Force. And it's one of those nostalgic type themes. And that's one of the things that hits. But on top of that, I love card drafting. And being able to collect all of these different sets of all of your favorite comic book characters is just a really fun thing for me. But on top of that, it's also mechanically fun. It's not just thematically fun, it's also mechanically fun. And that's why it's so high on my list right now. It used to be very hard to get. Thankfully, Spin Master was able to release a version of it here. Unfortunately, it is component quality subpar, but the mechanisms are still there. The fun factor is still there. And you can go on Etsy and kind of make up for all of the... all of the bad stuff that happened component-wise. But number 14, a great fun game, Comic Hunters.
All right. That's awesome.
I got another thumb up.
You got another thumb up.
Woo-hoo!
Totally great pick. All right. My number 14 is the new to this list game. So this one jumped from nothing to...
You could use an article. That's funny. You could use an article there. The new one.
That's right. It's the new one on this list.
I'm a little jealous.
This is a fantastic game from James Jolly and Shadowborn Games, and this is called Oathsworn, Into the Deepwood.
Good game.
This game is absolutely amazing. This game, me and my wife, we like to play D&D. We like RPGs, stuff like that. But this game, as a campaign game, is... one of the neatest things that we've ever played.
Right.
You take a character or 2 characters or whatever you want to do. Me and my wife, we play with 2 characters each. Were we playing with 2 characters each?
Yes.
I think we were playing with 2 characters each as well. Maybe it is 4 characters now that that's the only thing I've ever played was with 2 characters each. But the characters...
I think we did.
Have their own specific deck of cards, so the things that they do are very specific to their abilities. One of my characters is the witch, and she's putting fire and ice out on the board so that it affects the board state. If enemies land on it, they get burned or it messes up your movement or whatever else. And she's using those up as well. The resources and the way that every character plays is very thematic with the barbarian or whatever that's jumping 7 hexes to take a chop at something or whatever else. But this game is played in 2 separate sessions or 2 separate halves. The first half is the exploration half, where you might be in a city. The game begins, the Deepwood has taken over everything. The game begins, you're following this chain rope to the city, because if you let go of this chain, you're going to disappear into the Deepwood and something's going to eat you. So you emerge in front of this city on the chain rope, and you're going to go through the city, and you're going to figure out what's going on, or whatever the exploration phase will be. And then at the end of the exploration phase, there's a big boss battler. And that's exactly what it is. You have a big map with some kind of crazy boss that has some very specific... There's another one, just like Aeon's End, where these bosses are very different from each other.
Yep.
They're very unique. They do very specific things, and they're very fun to fight. So I just really love Oathsworn. I can't say enough good things about it. This is an amazing game.
Yep.
So
I've only played it once, but it was very fun.
Yep.
I'd love to play it again, that's for sure.
I still have all of your stuff, all of our stuff set aside. Saved, yeah, it's all saved. So.
All right, my number 13 is one of my Viking games of choices, but not the Viking game of choice, but one of.
9th Viking game of choice.
Yeah,
he's got 13 games.
I like them. I like Vikings. Sue me. Don't care. Fire and Axe, a Viking saga. Number 34 last year, 13 this year. I've been able to play it a little bit more, and been able to talk about it a little bit more.
Yep.
And it is my, basically, we're going to go ahead and say it's my historical Viking game of choice, because it really, I love the aspect of you have 7 days within the week to do stuff. On your turn, you have 7 days. And so I just like that time connection to, well, it takes you a couple of days to load your ship up, and then it takes you a couple of days to sail out, and then it's going to take you a day to, sack or raid or trade with this port that you just sailed into. I love that aspect of the game. I also like the fact that it takes in, it has a very nautical feel to it, because each of the different seas take you longer to travel through. Each space does, depending on what sea you're in. I really enjoy that. But it has a very grand scope as far as the historical Viking theme that it has, because you're not just pillaging and fighting and all of that other kind of stuff. You're also trying to trade. You're trying to establish commerce with a lot of these different ports that you've gone to. And I like that. I like that because it's less... it's less of a tunnel vision view of what Vikings were in history. So I really enjoy that. My number 13 was 34 last year, risen a little bit. Fire and Axe, a Viking saga.
You need to teach me this game still.
I will.
We know. All right, that's a good pick.
Yes, sir.
I haven't played it, but it sounds like a great pick.
Yes, sir.
All right, my number 13 was my 31 last year.
What? That was so close to mine.
Was it? Yeah.
I was 34.
There you go. My number 13 was my 31 last year. This is from Lucas Wozniak, CD Projekt Red, and Go On Board. And this is The Witcher, the Old World. Yep. In The Witcher, the Old World, you are taking on, in a very adventure-style game, the life of a witcher, or a mage, if you'd like to do that as well. And as that, you have a personal player board that starts out with, you have just a few low-level abilities, but you're going to go out throughout the world. You're going to increase your abilities. You're going to fight monsters. You're going to gamble at the local tavern. Yeah. It's got a very cool encounter system where you're going to be getting counter cards quite often, and dealing with those. The whole, you just met a... What was yours? You met a halfling with a clear liquid. Would you like to drink it?
Sure.
Sure, no problem.
Halfling's not going to do anything bad, do you?
But anyways, you have to do these kind of things, or you get to do those kind of things. Yeah. The main goal is you're trying to get trophies. Of course, the Witcher gets trophies by defeating enemies mostly. You also can get a trophy or get trophies by becoming a master at your abilities on your. So if you get one of your abilities all the way to the very top, you can become a master at that ability and gain a trophy. And you can also get trophies from your first time you beat up another Witcher in a bar brawl. And the cool thing about a bar brawl is if you go to a town and you have a bar brawl, that bar gets broken down and it gets this little out of order sign for a little while because the Witchers trashed it. So it's just a very adventure-style game.
Yep.
There's expansions that take you to Skellig, and there's just all of these cool things. So I really love it. There's also an expansion. If you get this game, get the expansion that fleshes out the monsters. There's kind of a basic version of the monsters, and there's a much more in-depth version of the monsters. And you want that in-depth version of the monsters because they fight. They're more thematic, each of them.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
But right on. That's my number 13, The Witcher Old World. Climbing the ranks.
Very cool. All right, my number 12 was my number 3 last year. It has fallen off of my top 10, but it is my zombicide game of choice at this point in time, and this is called Marvel Zombies. I really enjoy it a lot. I enjoy it's got zombie Captain America in it.
That's right, it does.
That's the cool thing. And it also has zombie Hulk in it. Come on, people.
Yep.
This is awesomeness. I really enjoy it. One of the things that I've always kind of, from a distance, kind of looked at and perceived superhero games with a little bit of uncertainty is the fact that if you have superheroes in a game, everything else has to be super powerful in order to give those superheroes a run for their money. And that's exactly what's done, but they haven't done it in an uncharacteristic way. Sure. They've done it well. That's the basic way to say it. And I really do enjoy it. Such to the fact of if you have too many shield agents running around, they can hurt you.
Oh, they can hurt you.
They can hurt you.
Yeah.
And you would first of all think, well, how is that even possible? It just is.
It just is.
They're trained shield agents to battle those superheroes, and I like that about the game. I like the fact that they take a little bit of a twist on the zombie thing, where you are cognizant that you are a zombie. I like that because it's a little bit of a twist. Normally zombies are just these brain eating husks, and that's not what the zombie heroes are anymore. I like that. I don't know. It's just really kind of taken the zombicide world by storm, in my opinion, at least. And that is number 12. Was number 3, Marvel Zombies.
Nice. And the cool thing about the zombicide is, or the zombie side. That was not. I didn't mean to do that. But you have a hunger gauge in this one. And if you don't maintain your hunger gauge and you become ravenous, all of a sudden you can't do anything but go try to eat somebody.
Yep.
Like everything else goes out of your mind. Your character no longer wants to go do the mission.
Nope.
He wants to go eat somebody, which is really quite cool.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
It's kind of like an economy in the game almost.
It is very much an economy, sure. And you can roll those on your dice, which is very painful. All right, that's a great pick. My number 12 was my number 21 last year, and I don't know exactly why it was my number 21 last year. It belongs somewhere in this range regardless. So it is one of my favorite games of all time, and it will always be one of my favorite games of all time.
13 was your 31, and your 12 is your
my
21.
Yep.
I'm noticing the theme here.
This is a Viking-themed game where you're placing workers out to collect dice, which represent different warriors.
I know
Axemen and spearmen and swordsmen and archers and berserkers and all of the good things. You're collecting these in Champions of Midgard.
Yes.
My brain just went.
I was waiting for it. I was like,
funny.
Just say it, dude.
I forgot about the name. No, in Champions of Midgard, though, it is a worker placement game, and it's a very easy worker placement game. The worker placement portion is not comparatively. Is not the. I mean, it is the bread and butter of everything, but mostly because everything is very, there's only so many spots, right? So the angst of playing out there in the worker placement is awesome. But you are collecting these dice, which are your warriors. You can only have so many different warriors at a time. And then you're sending them out to fight trolls and Draugr and, Birgisar and putting them on ships and sending them across the ocean to fight monsters.
Yep.
And really, that's where all your points are coming from, right? That's what Vikings do. We go fight monsters, and there's some set collection in the creatures, in different colors of the cards they get and things like that. There's a mechanic where the trolls, whoever gets to kill the troll, everybody loves whoever kills the troll every round. The whole town rejoices.
Yep.
At the same time, they get to blame somebody else for being too wimpy to go fight the troll. So if nobody fights the troll, then everybody gets in trouble by the town.
That's right.
Why
don't you guys go fight that thing?
Your ships can only carry so much stuff, so
That's
you
right.
have to balance how many or how many soldiers you're putting out there and how much food you're putting out there, because bad things could happen in the middle of the voyage. I just really love this game. I love the look of the game. I think it's a beautiful game. And I love dice. This is a fantastic game. And this is my number 12, Champions of Midgard.
A lot of good stuff. Had a lot of fun with that game this year.
Yep.
A lot of good stuff. Last one for this segment before the top 10. Last one. This was number 31 last year.
Ooh.
So it rose a little bit.
Your 31 jumped too.
It certainly did. I really enjoy this game a lot. This one is from a company called Thunderworks Games, and you're building a dungeon. It's called Stone Spine Architects. And I really enjoy spatial organization type games, and this one is really fun in that right, because you are basically building your 4x4 grid of a dungeon from top to bottom, one row at a time. And in between each row, you get to go to a market and buy more elements, and there's a neat little economization about who gets to buy what first and all of that kind of stuff. And you can, it's a really fun market phase. But the other cool thing about the market phase is the fact that once you are done, or if the stuff that's out there isn't really appealing to you, the first person to pass actually gets first choice of in-game scoring cards that are out there.
Yep.
And that can be a very viable reason to not buy anything in the market phase if you want first pick on those in-game scoring cards. But beyond that, building your dungeon is a very satisfying thing.
Yeah.
Very satisfying thing. And it's a very fun thing. And it's a very thematic thing as well. Because if you've played D&D or anything like that, dungeons have these elements.
Yep.
Right? They have different roving bands of monsters and different traps that you're going to fall into and have to try to avoid and all that kind of stuff. And it's all there. Really a great game. I really enjoy it a lot. It's Stone Spine Architects, my number 11.
We got to be careful. Our crossovers are going through the roof.
That's because we're talking about good games now.
That's number 18.
Yeah.
All right.
You start getting rid of some of those spiritual crossovers.
Yeah, I can get rid of 2 spiritual crossovers. We're at 16 right now. We won't last there, but all right. Well, my number 11, the last one on this list,
segment.
On this segment, last one on this segment. My bad. Is a game from Awakened Realms. And I don't know if campaign games are like really itching my fancy or making me happy or whatever else, but this was my 14 last year, so it hasn't moved much. It's my 11 this year, but this is ISS Vanguard.
Cool.
In ISS Vanguard, it is another game like Oathsworn, where it's played in 2 phases. The first phase is now the story behind ISS Vanguard is this mysterious signal was sent to Earth. And this ship is commissioned and sent out to find out why and where it came from and everything else. That's where you begin. You have all of these different crew members that fit into your 4 different, what do you call them, departments. You have your science guy and your recon and, all those kind of things. Red
shirts.
Yep, and your red shirts, and you do. But anyways, you're sent off into space on the ISS Vanguard, and you get to live out that story. Half of the game is spent flying down to a planet with your small little landing craft. Your landing craft can carry so much stuff with you, and you can have all kinds of problems just getting to the planet, which is unfortunate. You can lose gear. You could do all kinds of crazy things just getting to land. But once you land on the planet, your 4 crew members, one from each of the groups, are going to travel around this planet and trying to figure out what's going on. They might be looking for what the signal is. They might be looking for resources because your ship is low on resources and needs something specific.
Yeah.
They could be looking for any of those kind of things. And these planets range from, disastrous, stormy planets to planets that are, dark and dead and, desert and freezing cold, whatever else. And you're trying to survive those. Each of your characters has a specific number of dice, and the dice have all these different symbols on them, and they're different colors. The colors basically, fit the different groups or the different departments that you're in. Departments is the wrong word. I can't think of the word in a spaceship, but regardless. But those characters can also level up and rank up, and when they rank up, you get new dice for that character. So the other thing those characters can do is die. So you could rank somebody up 3 times, and they could be amazing, and they could still die on a mission, and you lose them forever, and they go to the graveyard. And the second half is going back to your ship, doing new technology, doing research, taking care of your people that are in the infirmary, using the materials that you picked up on the planets to make new things, make new items, all of these kind of things. You're also recruiting new people to your departments because you're running out, or because you just need an influx of new people to use. It's just a really cool game. It very much simulates that space adventure, dynamics.
Sure.
So, that's my number 11.
Never actually played the game, but I've watched a couple of guys spend an entire afternoon playing through, and they looked physically tired at the end of that thing, but they were absolutely happy as a pig in slop. They had loved every minute of it, but they were drained. So it takes a special breed of person, I think, to like those kinds of games. I would love to try it, but it's heavy.
I am that breed of person.
It's heavy. All right, well, that is our 20-11 top 100 games of all time. Give us a like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon so that when that new video or any of the other videos comes out, you're notified. Let us know in the comments how we're doing. Let us know what games we've missed thus far, and hopefully they'll be on the top 10, whatever you want.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yep, absolutely good luck. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Have a great day.